On this episode of the Black Boss Ladies platform,
the biggest obstacle that I had was emotional intelligence.
Oh my God, yes.
That's it.
I felt like if you're disrespecting me, this isn't just an East St. Louis thing. If you're disrespecting me, I'm going to stand on business.
This is where you were over 4 different
divisions.
Okay,
Yeah.
This is when I start seeing my friend on TV doing conference. Look at Frankie. Look at Frankie on the news. She in the newspaper. She on social media.
It definitely was. It definitely was a jump. It was a jump. And I'm not going to lie. I was scared. I have to say that in human services, it was amazing to have other Black women that were just amazing women, that we were support systems to each other. One of the things that I think is important for us when we're starting new positions, especially in these leadership positions, is what my new supervisor has coined hit the ground learning.
Okay. I like
And
that. Hit the ground learning.
Understand the systems before you want to come in, crash and burn. I want to make a name for myself, so we're going to totally change this. I prepare. And yes, the preparation is also being prepared for the things that you're not prepared for. How am I going to pivot?
Okay.
How am I going to respond?
I love that.
Yes, these are ways that I combated, or I tampered down that self-doubt.
Right.
That self-doubt.
Preparation.
Yeah.
By being bad.
welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform, the place where legacies live.
Have you ever had a desire to have a successful career in the public health industry? Hi, I'm Julia Myers.
And I'm Tiffany Lee.
And today we are interviewing my really good friend, Dr. Frankie Shipman-Amuwo. She has a very impressive background. She's held titles such as CDC Public Health Prevention Specialist, Managing Deputy Commissioner for Programs, and her newest title is Senior Director for Community Health. Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, welcome. And I just found out that she was my soror. But from reading this bio, it was in the background already. It said Delta, Delta, Delta.
So much greatness, right?
Right, so much greatness. But can you tell us what is your definition of success?
Success. So the simple definition is essentially when you do self-reflection, you have to ask yourself one critical question, and that is, do I feel happier? And if I feel happier, then that's your definition of success. Now, we know that that's a simple question, but there's a lot that goes into that. And I'm going to use an analogy that may seem a little odd, but just bear with me.
Go ahead.
When I think of success or the journey to success, I liken it to a journey on losing weight.
Okay.
So you have this goal in mind, this number in mind to lose weight. And in our minds, we want it to be linear. We want these check boxes. I've lost this until I achieve it. Very rarely does that happen. You know, you are doing peaks and valleys and sometimes starting all over again and then plateauing. And in that journey, what you're realizing is it's not just about that number. There's so much more that goes into it. And you're asking yourself, do I feel healthier? And that feeling is so much more than just that weight number that you're looking at. And that's similar. There are differences, but similar to their journey of success, where you're going through this journey and it is not linear.
It's not. So let me tell you, me and my aunt, you guys would not believe this. Less than 30 minutes ago, we were talking about God winks and how you know you're on the right path. And we were talking about how success has ups and downs. She was not here. 30 minutes later, we're sitting down and she's saying our exact words.
That's something else.
So
No such thing as coincidence.
There's no such thing as coincidence. And your journey to greatness and building your legacy is going to be like this. And I think when we accept that, then we'll take a lot of pressure off ourselves.
Yes.
Especially when you're in the valley, right?
Yes. But it's not just about that number. Oh, if I get this salary, then I'll be happy.
Yep.
If I get this job, then I'll be happy. Oh, this corner office. All of those are important. They're great. But it's the feeling of, am I happier during this period of my life? Am I happier?
Yep.
And that's success.
I love that. I love that definition.
Let me say something to that, because they said studies have shown that once you reach $75,000, that no more money that you make is going to make you happier in that position, because that's kind of your I'm okay financially set point, right?
Really? 75K?
They say 75. Look, this was a couple years ago, so it might be
100 right now. That's what I still coming.
They said once you reach 75, the more money doesn't really contribute to that happiness set point.
Mm-hmm.
And
I actually
kind of realize
say
that
that's
like
true.
the average pay in America is only still like 50. So 75, you're probably doing better than most, especially if that's just your income.
And what I had to realize just going into that is that sometimes we get in bubbles where everybody like makes the same amount as you, kind of that, and you forget that like you've went past the average, so you have to realize and take a step back. That's why I say counting your blessings. Like, hey, or this is I'm doing pretty good. Right? No matter how much money, right? So public health. Public health. You've held some amazing titles. Did you wake up when you were a kid and say, I'm going to get a degree and go through public health industry? How did we get here?
Oh, I don't even think I knew what public health was until my junior year of college.
I'm happy you said that.
Junior year of college. That's when I knew.
Exposure.
Yes.
Is a thing. Like
yes.
So you could be a doctor and a nurse, a lawyer, you know what I'm saying? But we don't learn about all those other fields in there that you could go into. And that's what this show is about. Introducing you to
new spaces. And I didn't know until I got hired at the health department. Because our public health school was at SIU-E. So we didn't have public health there. So it's just like I wasn't introduced to that space. So junior year of college, how do you end up here?
I just knew when I started college that I was going to be a doctor.
Wow.
I was going to be a physician because my parents were physicians. And so I'm going to be a physician naturally.
Naturally, right?
And then they tell me that I have to do this diabolical class called organic chemistry.
I was going to say anatomy and physiology.
I was okay with physiology. It was organic chemistry where I've seen people cry daily, doing that. And I said, no. What's the next best thing? What's something else in the health field? And I learned about public health. And just to put it very, very plainly, public health is all about protecting and improving the lives of a population, people, right? And so you...
I like that definition.
Yeah,
it's very simple.
Very simple.
Yeah, because some people don't like, that was a good, I love that.
Yeah. And public health is all around us. It's all around us. You see tobacco prevention. You see HIV prevention. You see chronic disease promotion.
Vaccination.
You see vaccinations, responding to disease outbreaks. All of that is public health.
And recently I'm in the space of keeping healthy homes healthy.
Yes.
Right? Kids healthy from lead and like your house can literally kill you.
Yes.
That's crazy. That's public health. So
yes, very true. And it's a versatile degree. And it's a versatile field. So, even in my field, when I was working in human services, there was a public health component to it. So, junior year of college, that's when I decided, I pivoted and I decided to focus on public health.
Okay.
I got my, after I graduated, I got my master of public health a little later. I worked for about a year. And because I needed a break from school.
Yes.
To be honest,
we all do, right?
Yeah.
I love school. If I could just go for the rest of my life, somebody could pay for it. If you're that person.
When I got out of undergrad, barely, I was like, I'm never going back to college. Ever. I barely made it out.
Right.
And then I went back and got a master's.
Yes.
But I promised I was doing after that. I was like, that's it. I promised God I'm not coming back.
So you took a year off.
I did take a year off, and then I went to get my Master of Public Health degree, which wasn't at Emory University.
I just saw something in the paper about them giving away free tuition for anybody who makes under $200,000.
Yes, yes,
wonderful.
yes. They're doing great things. Their School of Public Health, I absolutely loved it. I loved college there. So with their School of Public Health, I learned even more about a field in international health, which I really, really liked.
Okay.
And my goal was, okay, I'm going to work abroad. I'm going to work abroad, and that's what I'm going to do. And then I met my husband. And I said, wait a second. Wait a second. I'm going to rethink this situation. How can I do this? So then I had to pivot again.
Okay.
But the one thing that I was very interested in was learning more. I wanted to learn more about this field. And so after getting my master's, I decided to do fellowships and internships and really kind of see, okay, in the federal realm, this is what public health is doing. Okay, on the local level, this is what public health is doing.
Okay.
And so I was really just learning and just being a sponge as much as I could.
You became a student of the industry.
Yes.
That's another
Yes.
Yes, I love that.
Absolutely.
Seeing it from every aspect, which is probably why you got all these nice titles behind your name. Because when you start actually taking on an industry, whatever your legacy is, and going into like deep with it instead of like why, like really getting into it. So you start seeing it from every perspective. What were you learning?
I was learning office politics. That is very, very important.
Oh, can you say that one more time?
I was learning.
Say it loud, because I learned a lot from her when it came to that, because I ain't have none of that. She is.
I will teach you that in East
They don't. They don't teach you that. They don't teach you that in East St. Louis at all. They actually teach you the exact opposite.
Say what you
want to say. She knows. She has helped me out. You know, Julia, maybe you should rewrite that and make it look like this. Dang, that looked good. Teach me how to do that. Have that not been our conversation?
Yes.
So talk about that.
But, okay, so here I am. I'm just going to set the scene for you. Here I am in my 20s, and I have these fellowships and internships. Now, all of a sudden, I start getting an actual job, a career, not a fellowship where, it's finite. I'm here, and there's even more responsibility because you can get fired, And the biggest obstacle that I had was emotional intelligence.
Oh my God. Yes.
That's it.
I felt like, if you're disrespecting me, this isn't just an East St. Louis thing. If you're disrespecting me, I'm gonna stand on business, right? And you're fiery. You're like, wait, did she just come for me?
And they will come for you.
It was one of those things that, there's no amount of encouragement someone else can give you. You have to want to have a higher emotional intelligence.
You do.
You have to. And so I remember a time where it clicked like no other. We were in an outbreak. I received a higher leadership responsibility, and I was over a team during this outbreak. And we would meet periodically with leadership, with members of the executive team of the organization that I was at. And this was about 15 years ago. Every time I would present for my team, there was one executive team member that I always felt was coming for me. I felt like she was bullying me. And it was just the right day. Or the wrong day.
Depending on what side of the table you're on, right?
And I just felt it was like poke. And I lashed out at her. And I'm not saying I committed violence. I'm not saying I threatened her. I'm saying I matched what I felt was the energy she was giving me.
Yes.
And it got so heated that at this meeting was the head of the organization. And he stepped in and was like, Frankie. And I was so heated, I shushed him. I said, shh. Let me finish my point. And another thing, right? And I was teased, just letting you all know, for years after that. I would be in meetings and people would be like, shh. But in that instance, you're seeing red. You're not breathing.
You're not.
You're upset. And even though I didn't curse her out, I didn't threaten her with violence, I still was
It was a professional cursing out.
I was extremely unprofessional. And so there goes that word, self-reflection. I go home, I self-reflect, I pray, and I ask myself, am I happier right now? Do I feel like I did the job that I want? Do I feel like that's the Frankie that I want people to see?
Remember.
Okay, yeah.
And the answer is no.
Right.
And I think one of the biggest things that we could do is apologize when we're wrong and mean it.
Yeah.
She do apologize, and sometimes I'd be like, you shouldn't apologize. She's taught me a lot, though. She's taught me a lot because again, you're thinking about what's the right thing to do at that time. So,
and I apologized to her, and she accepted my apology. And I have to say, it felt cathartic. It felt cathartic,
really?
And we actually became closer.
Okay.
I looked at her as a mentor.
Wow, that's a long
way to go.
Right.
Yes.
Because so I'm going to play devil's advocate for a little here, because when you're in those spaces, I've had those experiences, and I know many of us have, where they actually are coming for you, right? Like, why do they get to get an apology?
I think what's important, and actually, Julia, you've taught me this lesson, is the importance of breathing. So it doesn't ever get there. It never gets there.
So you just don't even go there. No apologies are needed because there was
no.
Yeah.
I mean, if breathing is just, Julia said it to me. I've been in a heated discussion, and Julia came behind me and said, breathe, breathe. It was amazing because it's what you're doing when you're breathing. It's that adrenaline rush, that rage, and you're breathing. You're just taking a second.
Yeah.
When you want to send an angry email, we all know the advice. Wait,
Right.
don't send it right then.
Yeah.
Wait, and it's this journey on emotional intelligence and achieving this high emotional intelligence that I think is so important for all of us.
Yeah.
This woman, I was in the wrong, regardless of how she was acting. I was in the wrong with how I was behaving.
Right.
My apology to her was cathartic. We became closer. She ended up writing me one of the best letters of recommendation ever.
Wow.
That's a way to turn that
Yeah,
energy around.
it is. But here's my question, though. So, did she ever apologize?
Oh, no. No, she did not.
See, now that's one of the things I got to work on that. And the reason why is so I used to apologize a lot. I don't offer as many apologies as I used to, but I'm one of those people where I feel like an apology is a big thing for me. Like if you apologize to me, I feel like we can move past it. You know what I'm saying? But until I get that apology, I'm looking at you sideways all the time because I'm like, you have not taken responsibility for your behavior. You know what I'm saying? And so the fact that you, and that's what you're talking about, that emotional intelligence, right? Yeah. Because the fact that you were able to offer an apology, not get an apology back, and still were able to move forward with that relationship, that is a level of emotional intelligence that I don't know how we'll reach in this lifetime.
We all have to try for something,
maybe
right?
the next, you know what I'm saying? But seriously, it's a struggle. The fact that you let her in, that. And, and maybe, that letter of recommendation was her ultimate apology.
Could be. It comes in different ways, too. We've learned that. So you're sitting here, now you have your responsibility, really serious titles, and you're put in these positions. Did you learn a lot from that position that you take with you to the next one? Where do you go next?
Yes. So many lessons. So many lessons. So, Julia and I have a mutual friend that told me, let your enemies be your angels. And one of the pieces of advice Julia has told me to practice is discernment. The importance of discerning. Not everyone's your friend, and there are a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing. And I agree with you. Apologies are not meant to be offered freely. That took self-reflection for me to apologize. And so in doing, other hard things, I realized that I need to do a lot for myself. It is not about people pleasing.
It's not.
And so the people pleasing and being more discerning, they go hand in hand.
Okay.
Because a lot of times if you're not discerning and you're not really being, being able to tell who is the wolf, who, who's your friend, but it's something that you just have to constantly practice with that emotional intelligence. That's the biggest thing that I've learned. Going back to that expression, your enemies can be your angels, there is a lesson in everything.
Of course.
Right.
There is a lesson in everything. So even those toxic bosses that you've had, those toxic coworkers that you've had, I have learned a lot.
Yes.
I have learned the leader that I want to be.
Yes.
I don't like how this person is in this space. They're showing up in this space.
Right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be that leader that I want for my staff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the biggest
And
things.
she does
that
not
I've
play
learned.
about her staff, y'all. I've been on her staff, okay? And she rides. I've been on her staff in the space, and she's left me there, and I've seen the difference in the leadership and the space, and I had to get out. Let's move on, because when you've been under great leadership, it's easy to see when you're no longer under good leadership.
Thank you.
So you get your master's degree in public health. You're down in Atlanta. You say, hey, I'm not going international. I got this hot man that I'm about to marry. And I pivot. Where does your career take you next?
I go to Chicago. I go to Chicago. Yes. And here it was very, very interesting.
Yeah, from
Definitely
the South
different.
to the city,
It's
a big difference.
So we talk to each other in the South. We say good morning.
Right.
Here they don't. I love Chicago.
But I just spoke to the man across the street.
It depends.
And I said, good morning. And he said, good morning.
But you spoke to him first.
I did.
Yeah.
And he was looking at me for quite a long time.
And he did
before
not
I
speak.
said, good morning. But once I said it, he seemed like he was happy to receive it. So,
When I first moved here, though, that was one of the things. My friend, she's from here. I was living with her, and she was like, I would speak to people, good morning, because they're not going to speak to you first, like you're going to say. But some people will. But she said, you got to stop speaking to people. I was like, but that's how I was raised, Southern culture, speak. But I love Chicago and all its ways. So you get here, and where do you
not speaking?
Well, I get here. My first winter, I was crying so hard, my tears froze.
Oh my goodness.
So I had to get used to that. Similar to what you're saying, Julia, this city is amazing.
It is.
But it is a culture shock, when you come here.
Definitely.
So it takes a minute to experience the amazingness of the city. But I had some entry-level positions, and I realized I don't want to stay in this position. I want to keep moving forward.
Okay.
So I applied for another position, and I applied for another position. And what I was doing, it's not necessarily this expression in particular, but it's similar. This author, Garcia, has this book called I Can Do Hard Things. It's Affirmations for Children.
Okay.
And it's really good. It's really, really good. And so that's what I was telling myself. I can do hard things, but I'm not saying it like that. I'm saying, you got this, Frankie. You got this.
Because I was going to ask you, when you're in these organizations, because you've worked for government, and government is huge. It's not small. There's a lot of people there. There's a lot of different titles. And I can tell you, just working in those spaces, those titles can be a little intimidating.
Yes.
So what gives you the courage to say, yes, I'm here. I don't want to stay here. I'm going to go after that.
The first thing was the outbreak response that I did. That, you realize, I can do this. I can do something like this. The second is, if you show up in a space and you've done your research and you come in and you honestly give thoughtful feedback, people are going to continue to ask you your feedback. Now, all of a sudden, it's known, I talked to Frankie about this, and so you are a person who stands by their word and whose word is important. It has value.
I'm getting chills as she says that, because her words aren't fluff. because I've had the personal experience of working with Frankie. What she's saying is true. Like when she leaves the space, everybody, her name still be on books, FYI, when she leaves, but they'll say, like, she'll know everything that's going. And when you're working in those spaces, it's like sometimes there aren't clear pathways to getting something done. And you're looking for a person that can help you. And her name, if she's been in there, is often going to come up.
And it's interesting you mentioned this, Julia, because what I'm about to say is controversial. You may have a job where your duties are A, B, and C. I'm telling you, offer to do D. Consider offering to do D. People feel like, oh, they're going to take advantage of me. You're right. They may. I'm not saying it's foolproof. But I'm saying in my experience, I have had more success. I still have been taken advantage of. Let's be very clear.
For sure.
You know, you have to set boundaries. That's a skill in itself. But when I've offered to do other things, now they're seeing a totally different skill set than they saw over here. And I'm looking even more diverse and more diverse.
And if you take a selfish role, you're increasing your skills yourself.
And that's what I was going to say. Well, you know, like the song goes, use me, but hey, I'm using you.
Correct.
Right, exactly. Because like she said, your skills are growing.
Yes.
Your name is growing in those spaces. And people see that you're capable of so much more than you have been given. So it can be a win-win situation.
Absolutely. And I have been given another controversial thing. I've been given the role when I came into a position. They said, hey, Frankie, can you take notes? Okay. I don't like taking notes. Who likes taking notes?
Nobody, because you know I hate taking notes.
I can't take notes.
Me either. My notes be terrible.
I can't even read my writing.
And then, she made all of us take notes.
Yes.
On my team.
Because I know no one wants to. But I've been in a situation and they asked me to take notes. It was a community health planning event. I'm taking notes and I'm talking, right? I'm not quiet. So I take the laptop, right? Because they wanted me sitting in the back. And I said, oh, I need the table. Excuse me. Right? Now I'm at the table. Okay? The note taker is at the table. Okay? Because they wanted me
feel like they wanted you to take notes to shut up and sit in the back of the room.
I have no idea. That's a very good question. But you can't shut me up. Okay? My mom knew that. You can't shut me up. I came out the womb crying, you know? But I sat at that table and I'm taking notes and I'm saying, oh, but I honestly think da-da-da-da-da. Well, what about this? I am conversing. Yeah, I'm taking notes, but I'm also talking. Who was invited to the meeting the next time? I was. I was. And I wasn't taking notes the next time. I'm not saying it's foolproof. I'm not. But if you are given menial tasks, you can make something of them. You really can. And it's 10 times better than coming in with an attitude in a space. It's 10 times better. That's emotional intelligence that we all have to learn. And it's also, if you feel like you're being disrespected, that's a conversation that you have with your supervisor or whatever means that your organization has, but not in that space. Not in that space.
So you go into here and you're capitalizing on every opportunity that you're giving. You're showing up in spaces that say, you say ABC, but I'm going to give you that and DEFG. And you're going to know my name and everybody in that room is going to feel my presence and they're going to feel the absence of my presence too, right? And this allows you to move through the ranks.
Yes.
Right? Yes. So how are you feeling as you're moving through the ranks? What are you experiencing?
It's interesting. I actually I got a director position and I had a wonderful team. And I felt a little stagnant. You know, I was kind of like, I don't know. You know, it wasn't necessarily the organization. The organization was great. I just felt like I needed a bit more. Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for.
What happens?
COVID happened.
COVID and what else though?
I had my son
in the middle of COVID.
It was, oh my God, it was a perfect storm. Here I have a 2-year-old. I'm 9 months pregnant. I'm also in a doctoral program.
Oh, wow.
And I had just defended my dissertation proposal. So the committee, this is when you defend the initial proposal and the committee says, okay, great. Now let's work on the final proposal, right? So I had finished that. I go into labor. I come back. And I was informed that I have to shelter in place And so we take my 2-year-old out of daycare. Now I'm taking care of a 2-year-old and a newborn. 3 months later, I go back to work, and I think, okay, everyone's going to be nice to me because I have a newborn
No,
and a 2-year-old.
The world's on fire. Her team is scattered, and
Everyone's responding. Public health was in the forefront during COVID.
For the first time, because a lot of times this industry is in the back. You don't really hear about it.
I have a question.
Yes.
So we've been talking a lot about emotional intelligence, and you built yours up, which I'm sure helped you in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
But when did the breakdown happen?
Oh, I had a breakdown. Absolutely.
That's what.
The day I came back, 2:00 p.m., my boss called me in and said, "You're going to be leading community-based testing for the city of Chicago."
And remember, nothing is set up at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is theory.
I'm sitting here like, wait, what? Wait, they're talking because I'm not sleeping. I have 2 kids, and then 3-year-old and a newborn, and I'm not sleeping very well. So the breakdown happened. I think the first meeting, where everyone's doing Teams. My Teams wasn't working. I'm sitting there. Thank God for virtual meetings. Thank God. I turned that camera off. I turned it on mute, and I just start crying. I can't do this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And what happens? I go to a person who I trusted, a very good friend of mine, and I just broke down to her. And that's why support is so important.
It is.
It's so important. The people that you trust, because she basically said to me, take a breath, go take a walk, take a walk, go outside and then come back. And that, I think, really helped me. It taught me, if I'm having this issue, I don't need to keep it bottled up.
You don't.
I don't.
Exactly.
And you know what? It's funny because you're telling your story. I've never heard that story, actually, because we were working the response together. And it's bringing me back to, I had a breakdown in my mom's house in her second room because they were making me create a training program on and teach it to people, and I had never seen the software. But I didn't have a child. I didn't have 2 children. And I'm sitting here crying. So I couldn't even imagine having Maverick and another baby going through that. So hats off to
of Jesus. That's all I have to say. Thank you, God.
Yeah, and let me say this too, because I didn't know that she actually had a breakdown, but I'm just listening to it. I'm like, somebody had a breakdown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's also, we need to think about giving people grace.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I always think about that every day. Like, a lot of times people, as soon as somebody comes in with the attitude, you feel like you got to match that.
You don't.
You don't. You don't have to match that. Give people grace.
Sometimes things are happening that you don't know. You know nothing about.
You know
right. Nothing about.
And then we see the leaders who seem stoic, who are doing a great job, and who's like, oh, they don't have the problems I have. Everybody got those problems.
Everybody got them.
It comes with life.
So you're given this task with your newborn. The world is, you got, like, this is after COVID, but in the midst of COVID, it was crazy.
It was.
How do you navigate through that?
So the first thing was I had to set a boundary. There was so much going on. I had to set a boundary. And I talked with my chair for my doctoral program, and I said, I need to take a leave of absence.
Knowing what to put on hold.
Here's the wonderful thing about getting a degree in public health, getting my doctorate in public health and working in public health. Completely understood. They completely understood because
they're in emergency operations right now.
Exactly. And that's the first thing. It was, okay, if I have all this on my plate, what can I let go? What can I suspend? So that's what I did. I got a wonderful team. I mean, we were leaning on each other. And we would fight.
Of course.
We fight, we'd have issues, and then we get right back on. I remember one time we were fighting in the car, got right out and was like, hello, everyone, public health. Hi. We're here to help.
Right. Because people's lives were on the line.
Lives were on the line. And I remember, it's funny you mentioned that. I'm not funny, but it's interesting that you mentioned that, Julia, because I remember there was a time, and everyone just seemed so defeated, and I was talking to a coworker, and I said, I just feel like I'm being a bad mom right now. I feel like I'm neglecting my sons. And she says to me, she puts her hand on my arm, and she says, but you're helping someone else's son. And that was like, yes. Because that desire to help people, in public health, you see that a lot.
You do.
You see that a lot. And you go back to that, like, yes, I am helping people.
Yeah, because all our coworkers, the majority of people that signed up for these type of careers, they wholeheartedly want to help the public.
Yeah.
Like they really do. That desire of service is there, even though we get beat up. You have to go through a lot of political stuff,
Yes.
bureaucracy. I'd be like, the job ain't hard. It's the red tape to do the job is usually what is the hardest to bear.
Navigating office politics.
It's
so hard.
It's insane. And I thank God that sent me a Frankie because I have learned so much from her in that area because I was just out here thuggish.
Wait,
not thuggish, but like really rough around the edges.
Julie's an amazing employee. She's an amazing employee.
But hey, sometimes in politics, I'll be like, hey, I don't care nothing about that.
Yeah.
So you go through the COVID, and you show up big in that way you want to give, serve, and it pays off because you get to move through the ranks and you go where after this.
Well, that voice, I can do hard things. That self-reflection, look what I just did, you know?
Yep.
That boost of confidence. I can do this. When you have that confidence, literally, no one can break you.
And
no
the
one
world
can break
responds
you.
to that.
It really does.
It does.
Yes.
It bows down to what you're putting out.
Yeah. And I think it is confidence, but it's also passion.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's what really people are responding to because it's like within that confidence, you're showing that I have the passion to do this.
The heart.
Yeah.
The heart.
Yeah. And then people like, I think you can. You know what I'm saying?
I see
I think
you're
I
doing
want
it.
to depend
I'm
on you
going
to do
to
it. Right.
I'm
Exactly.
going to bow down to what you're putting out, right? And you become.
Well, I applied for the assistant commissioner.
Yeah,
I got it.
I remember praying through that.
Yes, Julia was
I
so
was
supportive.
so excited for her.
She was so supportive. And then I landed the managing deputy commissioner position.
Yes.
And that was in another organization, not public health. But again, it's in human services and it has a lot of public health components.
Yeah.
A lot of the components that I took from public health, I applied there.
Yep.
And this is where you were over 4 different
divisions.
Okay,
Yeah.
This is when I started seeing my friend on TV doing conference. Look at Frankie. Look, Frankie on the news. She in the newspaper. She on social media.
It definitely was. I mean, it definitely was a jump. It was a jump, and I'm not gonna lie. I was scared. I was scared.
Talk about that.
Because some people really think when you see these people that they got it, like there's no fear. But I think courage is moving beyond the fear and still showing up. So how do you do that?
First thing is for me, Julia emphasizes this, it is breathing. It's breathing. Because if you don't breathe, everything, and I'm talking about in through your nose, out through your mouth, so many different methods. I think the second is praying. Yeah. It doesn't matter even if you don't have to be on your knees saying this long, drawn out prayer. It's God, can you be with me right now?
Yeah.
You know? My father passed away, over 20 years ago. I'm speaking to him. I'm like, Dad, I'd really like it if you were in this room right now, And even if you don't necessarily believe, it's centering yourself on something. Like, I'm going to think about my kids right now. That's gonna center me. That's gonna make me happy.
Yep.
And so for me, that was another important thing. But it's also coming prepared.
That part.
It's also coming prepared.
Yes, exactly.
I know there are a lot of confident people that just wake up in the morning and they can go out and talk to that camera. That's not me.
Yeah, that's my husband.
I love it.
Talk to anybody about anything, and they are gonna love him. Like they just eat it up.
I think that's a wonderful skill for those of us mere mortals.
Right. Exactly.
I prepare, and yes. The preparation is also being prepared for the things that you're not prepared for. How am I going to pivot? Okay. How am I going to respond?
I love that.
Yes. These are ways that I combated or I tampered down that self-doubt.
Right.
That self-doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
By being bad. I mean, for real.
Because let's talk about that though.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that because as you're moving through the ranks and getting these titles, you're probably seeing less and less Black women in those rooms, right? So you have to go in there knowing you know your stuff.
I have to say that in human services, it was amazing to have other Black women that were just amazing women, that we were support systems to each other. And I can't tell you enough just how much I learned in terms of subject matter. And as a leader over people who were the subject matter experts, it's so important to nurture their leadership. I'm learning from you. We're thought partners here. I sign your timesheets, absolutely. Sometimes I have to pull rank, but I respect the fact that you know your stuff. You know your stuff.
So you're a leader of leaders.
Yes.
And that's a different level, again, of emotional intelligence. Because you're not looking at somebody that don't know their stuff. So you have to honor, like you said, the leadership in them and what they poured into themselves.
And don't try to make other people small to make yourself big.
There is enough spotlight for everyone. And we got to go back to kindergarten and share. Okay, we can share the spotlight. It does not have to be, it's just me. I'm in the middle. The rest of y'all.
And when you become a lead, like a true leader, because I think leadership is an art and it's something that you have to learn. You love being in the room with other leaders.
Absolutely.
Because you don't want to think for everybody. You want to think for yourself. And I want you to show up and show me everything you know about your thing. I don't want to have to learn your thing. Right?
Yes. Absolutely.
And I love when people come in and they have some ideas that I haven't thought of. And I'm like, oh, we are on game today, baby.
About to make magic.
Like seriously. Because I consider myself pretty smart. So I feel like I think of a lot of things.
You know you're
but then, when you have somebody else in the room, it's like, and it's like,
and see, that's,
wow,
let me tell
this is great.
While you're building your legacy, if you have the honor of being among leader and love it and see that they love leaders, you know you're under true good leadership. Because other leaders that aren't great leaders, they get intimidated by that.
They really do.
I've been in spaces where I've heard people say, I want to be the smartest person in the room. And I knew they had a small mind. Because I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. Because I can't learn anything in that.
I love to learn. I mean, that's the whole thing about the school, right? So, but being in those areas where you can actually learn from people, and then you're growing, and everybody in the room is growing, and that's what a great leader does. They help people to grow, right? While allowing those people to help them grow too.
Absolutely, it's definitely a give and a take, a push and a pull. I think with the leaders that I've supervised, one of the most important things we built was trust. They trusted that I had their back. Right? And I trusted that they knew their stuff. And so when we're having a discussion, I'll tell you and this is going to sound odd, so just bear with me. A wonderful feeling sometimes is being wrong. I know this is going to sound crazy.
No, it is actually.
We are in a room and I say, well, based off the data, I think we should do this. And one of them says, based off of my 30 years of experience, I know this is how it's supposed to be done. And I say, let's see. This person knows exactly what they're talking about, right? Yeah. So let's talk about this. We have the data. Can we reach a happy medium? Well, I think we should do this. And then I say, okay, let's try it that way. Yeah, I do think that's a good idea. That it's okay to be wrong.
Exactly.
Because when you have trust, now it's like, okay.
And it's not about your ego.
Exactly.
When you're okay to be wrong, you realize that we're out for a goal. And that goal is not to serve my ego, but to serve the thing we're here to do.
And what's so crazy about it is that if you truly had an ego, right? If your ego was working in the right way, like you could come out even better than you thought you were. You know what I'm saying? Like seriously. It's like you're allowing your ego to hold you back in so many ways. Because you can come out looking even better.
But that's also, you have to remove yourself from the desire to always want to be right. Some people just want to always be right, even at the worst call. Like, what are you getting from just being right? So,
I will say this though. When you have that trust with your staff, these back and forths on right and wrong, they're done behind closed doors. I'm allowing them to be extremely candid.
Yeah.
Talk to me,
Yeah.
educate me.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you from, my perspective, from my vantage point, this is how we're doing.
Mhm.
And then when we step out there, we
Yeah.
are a unified
Right.
front.
Yes,
Yes.
I totally
Yeah.
agree
We
with
are a
that.
unified
I
front.
feel like that is one of the things that's most important.
Yes.
You don't want to ever go out and have like this presentation to the public where everybody feel like they
hell in
got
the
something to
house.
say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, we have a leader. Your time to talk was
Was
when we were in there.
yeah.
Okay. Now
Mhm.
she's going to present what we all agreed
Mhm.
on there in that
Mhm.
meeting. Yeah, so that's so important.
So you're managing deputy commissioner for
Mhm.
programs
Mhm.
was that title that you was like, yes.
Mhm.
And now we're moving into something new.
Yeah.
Senior Director of Community Health.
Mhm.
This is your new, it's coming up. She hasn't even started yet, but excited for it. What do you see the future for yourself in public health space?
I'm so excited to get back into public health.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. Even though human services had a large public health component,
Mhm.
when I was working on my dissertation, I missed it. I missed just working with health departments and really just joining the fight. And what I see is really being able to apply leadership skills on a totally different level than I had before.
Okay.
And really just learn from a whole new team.
Mhm.
I'm entering in a space where, here are people who are subject matter experts in chronic disease, in behavioral health, in health equity.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Wow.
So I'm very excited to learn in that space. I'm very excited also to work with others in a different jurisdiction and really see how can, city, suburban, county, like how can we all work together too, So I think it's just a lot of excitement about new opportunities,
And creating greater change.
Yeah. And I'm grateful to the city because I've learned so much. I've learned so much. And I don't see it as, I'm leaving the city for suburban Cook County. I honestly see it as a progression on how we can all work together in the fight.
Because when something happens, we all have to work together anyway.
Disease knows no boundaries,
That's stuff humans create.
Honestly.
When I'm listening to your interview, you starting your career, you went into it open to learning, open to learning at every level from every direction.
Yes.
And going through the ranks of your titles and you're learning how to become a leader and going into your new role, that same energy is still there. I'm going into this new position. I still want to see it from every direction.
Right.
Oh, yes.
So to me, it's like that's what it's going to require for somebody sitting here wanting to have a successful career in public health is to go into it in different directions.
Yeah. And on that note too, and to still realize that she's still in her passion, right? Because that excitement that she's taking to this
still
next
there.
level.
And that's how you know you're on the right road still, right?
Exactly.
And having that level of happiness.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that I think is important for us when we're starting new positions, especially in these leadership positions, is what my new supervisor has coined, hit the ground learning.
Okay.
I like
And
that. Hit the ground learning.
Understand the systems before you want to come in and crash and burn. I want to make a name for myself, so we're going to totally change this.
And
We're changing
crazy because there's foundations already built in that space.
Correct.
Yes.
Let's learn. Let's listen. Let's learn. Let's discuss. All of that first. Let's gather an understanding first before we start changing things.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So don't run into it. We're gonna walk into it. We're gonna learn.
See what's already been built.
Absolutely.
See what's already been
I
built.
love that because it seems like that's one of the things about our city. And I don't want to stray too far off at this point. But that's one thing about East St. Louis. It seems like we're always stagnant. And one of the things that I have noticed is like every mayor that comes in, they're like, now this, how can I make the city better? It's like instead of saying this person did this, let's see what was good here. How can I implement? Everybody's just like, here's a board. Let's start all over. And how can you run a city like that? How can the city progress?
You can't.
Like
You have to have
that?
bigger visions than that. Again, because sometimes I think that goes back to I want my name to forever be, and most times that means just making a new recipe from everything that was already there. So, Frankie, if somebody's sitting there and they desire to have this amazing career in public health, what would be 3 to 4 things you would tell them to do?
Well, 4 is my favorite number. I have 4 things. The first is to have an elevator speech ready. Okay, like if you don't believe in yourself, how is someone else going to?
Right.
You may, and honestly, you know, I'm middle-aged, 2 kids, the brain, you know, I need to keep practicing, you know. Why am I amazing? Why am I amazing? Because this next chapter in my life, I'm going to most likely face people that are like, well, why is she in this position? You know?
Right.
And so that elevator speech on what I bring to the table and everything, especially if you're looking for a job, because you can have an informational interview or a random interview and you don't even know it. Someone may be analyzing you and you don't even know it, you know? But if you know your skills, you know, in like 30 seconds or less, what you bring to the table in 30 seconds or less, I think that's important.
Knowing your value.
Absolutely. I'd say the second thing, Mandela has this quote that says, I never lose. I either win or I learn. It is so important for us to take the lesson out of everything. How many times have we all been, you know, in a situation where it's not fair. I can't believe this happened to me. And then like a couple months or a couple years later, we're like, thank you, God. Thank you. Thank you that happened. Yep. So there is a lesson in everything.
Yeah.
The third I would say is make sure that you have diverse friendships.
Ooh, that's a good one.
You don't, you know, and I know people say this, surround yourself with like-minded people. Yes, asterisk. Yes, asterisk. I think that I have not met a lot of people that have the same viewpoint, the same career goal, the same view on fitness, the same view on religion, the same view on raising kids as I do. However, I have met people that are on this career trajectory that I want to be on, right? I want to learn from them. I've met people that are on a fitness journey that I want to be on, you know? Right. And so these are diverse friendships that I form because I'm trying to learn, you know? I'm trying to learn from all these different sectors. So you don't want to just limit like, well, this person doesn't have the career I want, so I'm not going to be their friend.
People do that.
Oh, yes.
They throw people away. And that's one thing I've never done.
Right.
I have a very big closet of different
Absolutely.
So you do want to keep and it keeps life interesting.
Yeah, it does. And I'd say the fourth and final piece of advice I would give is the importance of affirmations. And I know that, you know, Julia does affirmations with her son. I do affirmations with my sons. It is so important starting the day, ending the day. You are your biggest champion. And we are also our biggest critic. How do we tamper those voices? How do we tamper the self-doubt, the small thinking? It's having these affirmations. One in particular I love, and I say it all the time. It's by Louise Hay. All is well. Everything is working for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come and I am safe. I say that to reduce anxiety. I say that when I'm angry. I say that before I go to bed. Having your affirmations, even if you're like, I can't memorize all that. Look in the mirror and say, I love you.
I love
you know, feel it.
Simple.
You know,
I love
I tell my boys there are 4 most powerful things that you can say to someone. And we can also say it to ourselves. I forgive you. I'm sorry. I love you. Thank you. You know, you can do this. These are affirmations. And this will help you remember that you can do hard things. We all can do hard things. When you must, you can.
I love it.
Very important.
That's a perfect place to end.
That's right. You must, you can.
Dr.
Frankie Shipman-Amuwo, you are a Black Boss Lady.
And your legacy will live on the Black Boss Ladies Platform podcast.
Thank you for joining us on the BBL Platform podcast, the place where legacies live. We hope you will join us on our next inspirational journey to success. Be sure to rate, like, and subscribe to our show. For more information, please visit our website at theBBLplatform.com.